You ever have one of those moments that split your life clean in two? Before and after. Like the day you learned Santa isn't real, or the second a doctor says the word malignant. For me, it was the afternoon a one-ton bull came charging straight at a baby girl, and what he did next changed everything I thought I knew about animals, parenting, and maybe even fate. I wasn't always a farmer. In fact, 5 years ago, if you'd told me I'd be running a 200-acre heritage cattle farm in the middle of the English countryside, I would have laughed you out of the office. Back then, I wore pencil skirts and stilettos, fighting marketing wars in a London skyscraper. But when my grandfather passed away and left me Willowmere Farm along with his prize-winning Highland cattle, I made the kind of decision that most of my family called a breakdown and I stubbornly called a breakthrough. The thing is, I've always loved animals. Not just in the soft, pet-a-puppy way. I mean, really understood them. Their moods. Their rhythms. The way a cow tilts her head when she's curious or a rooster fluffs his feathers just before a tantrum. It's not magic, it's just attention. The kind most city folks forget to give. And out here, attention can mean the difference between calm and chaos. Which brings me to that Saturday. It was late spring. May. The hills were dotted with sheep, the hedgerows blooming, and the sky was doing that painter's trick where the clouds looked too perfect to be real. I was leading a weekend tour, 20 visitors from all over, some families with toddlers, a few retired couples, even a couple of AG students taking notes like I was about to quiz them. Everyone was smiling, relaxed, sun-warmed. The kind of day you think nothing bad could possibly happen. One family in particular stood out: the Marshalls from Leeds. David, Sarah, and their daughter Lily. 18 months old, all curls and giggles and stubborn little feet that never stopped moving. She'd squealed over the lambs, tried to hug a chicken, and had developed an instant crush on my border collie, Moss. I liked them right away. We were approaching the bull paddock when I gave my usual speech: stay quiet, no sudden moves, and under no circumstances go near the fence. My bull, Fergus, was a legend in the county, upping a ton in weight, with rust-red hair and horns that spanned nearly 4 feet. He looked like he belonged in a medieval battle painting. But he was calm, gentle, respectful as long as you respected him back. David asked the classic dad question: is he dangerous? I smiled and told him the truth. Only if you treat him like he isn't. We kept a safe distance while I explained about Highland cattle and sustainable grazing, pointing out Fergus's impressive stature as he munched peacefully on clover. The group was engrossed. And then Sarah's phone rang. Loud, shrill, jarring. The ringtone echoed through the valley like a fire alarm. Fergus jerked his head up, I suddenly alert beneath his fringe. Sarah fumbled to silence it, apologizing, but the moment had already turned. In her haste, she dropped her handbag. Everything spilled: wallet, wipes, and a little red rubber ball. Lily's favorite toy. It bounced once, twice, then rolled under the paddock fence. And just like that, Lily broke into a run. She slipped through the wooden slats before anyone could grab her. David shouted. Sarah screamed. I jumped the fence without thinking. But Lily was fast, and Fergus had already turned. It was like watching a nightmare in slow motion. Fergus took a step, then two, then picked up speed. Not a trot. I was 30 yards away. He was 20. Lily reached her ball and sat down in the grass, utterly oblivious. The giant bull bore down on her, dust rising from his hooves. My legs burned as I ran. I shouted. I prayed. Somewhere behind me, people screamed. And then, 3 yards from impact, Fergus stopped. Dead. He planted his hooves, skidded to a halt, a cloud of earth exploding around him. His chest heaved. His breath came out like steam. And then, impossibly, he lowered his head and sniffed Lily's curls. Lily giggled and reached out with one tiny hand. Moo, she said, patting his nose. What happened next, I still struggle to describe it. Fergus nuzzled her. Carefully. Like he knew exactly how fragile she was. Like she was his calf. By the time I reached them, I could barely breathe. I knelt down, half expecting him to back away or get startled. But he stayed. Lily looked up at me like I was interrupting something precious. Big Moo nice, she said. David reached the fence a moment later, white as a sheet. But Lily wouldn't leave. Every time we tried to pick her up, Fergus shifted protective. Possessive, even. And that's when Moss trotted in. My collie. Smartest dog I've ever known. He read the situation in seconds, settled beside them like it was the most natural thing in the world. Lily turned her attention to the dog, giggled again. I saw my opening. Lily, want to help me give Moss a treat? I said, pulling a biscuit from my pocket. She stood up. Fergus watched her move, but didn't interfere. Just followed. We made it to the fence, lifted her over. Fergus stood right at the boundary. Lily looked over her dad's shoulder and waved. Bye-bye, Big Moo. Fergus lowered his head and let out a low, gentle sound I'd never heard from him before. Not a warning. Not a grunt. Something that felt like goodbye. The tour group lost its ears, clapping, a few people whispering like they'd seen a miracle. And maybe they had. In the days that followed, things snowballed. Local paper ran the headline "Bull Saves Baby." National news picked it up. Animal behaviorists started calling. TV producers. Researchers from the Royal Veterinary College. But it was the marshals who returned first. 3 times that week. Lily won't stop asking for Big Moo, Sarah told me. She's obsessed. And so, slowly, carefully, we arranged structured visits. Extra fencing. Strict supervision. Always 3 adults present. Fergus never once showed aggression. If anything, he seemed happier. Calmer. He waited by the fence when he heard their car. Let Lily babble to him for hours. Let her touch his nose through the gaps. And only her. We started documenting it. The way he reacted to her voice. The way his behavior changed only with her, not with other kids. He remembered her. Chose her. Dr. McLaren, the vet who'd known Fergus since calfhood, said, "This bull loves her." That's not anthropomorphizing. That's observation. Even more astonishing? Lily seemed to sense his moods. One morning she said, "Big Moo's sad," and it turned out Fergus had developed a respiratory infection days before symptoms showed. What started as a freak moment had become a relationship that challenged everything we knew about animal cognition. Researchers set up a study. Lily and Fergus became subjects but never experiments. Always with care, always with respect. They played together, read books together, shared snacks through the fence. Fergus responded with soft, lowing sounds, movements that looked suspiciously like nods. They had their own language. The story inspired a children's book, a documentary, a wave of farm visits. We had to limit tours, install cameras, field questions from ethicists and child psychologists. Some critics said we were exploiting the bond. Others said it proved animals had emotional depth we hadn't respected enough. But to me, it always came back to one thing: connection. Raw, unexpected, pure. One sunny May morning, exactly 2 years after that terrifying day, Lily and Fergus played their favorite game. She'd hide behind a post, then jump out and shout, "Surprise." Fergus would huff and nod like he was laughing. And then she said it clear as day. "You're my best friend in the whole world." Fergus pressed his forehead to the fence. She touched it back. And just like that, I realized something. That bull had changed a little girl's life. But she'd changed his, too. Maybe the world would be better off if more of us learned to see through the eyes of a child and the heart of a beast. So tell me, do you believe animals can choose who they love? Have you ever seen a connection so deep it broke every rule you thought was unbreakable? Share your story below. Because sometimes, the most unbelievable thing is what actually happened. And if you want more stories like this, raw, real, and a little wild, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and stay curious. Because out here on the farm, anything can happen, and it often does.